Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's program, Stay Lit, with the Executive Deputy Chairperson of the NYDA. And today is a special day. We are celebrating phenomenal women around the world. That is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. My name is Mapula Lisailani, and I will be your host for today. I'm going to give the floor to Ms. Morongwa Mutiba, who is the specialist for partnerships and investment in the office of the Executive Deputy Chairperson of the NYDA board, and she will be taking us through the opening and welcoming our guests today.
Thank you so much, Mapula, and a good morning or a good afternoon to everyone who has joined us online, as well as all our speakers, some from various parts of the world. I'm so excited about the program today that we are participating in. As you would well know, if you are tuning in today for the first time, let me just clue you in. This is our second edition of this year's Stay Lit with the Executive Deputy Chairperson, our February episode, and it is themed around the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Now, some of you may well know that the United Nations has sought about and agreed that the status of women, in particular in the STEM fields, is quite critical. We all know that we can only assess a country's progress by the amount of women that are progressing in that country. And seeing women being represented in these fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is quite critical to the progress of our nation. And it is in this light that we, as the Office of the Executive Deputy Chairperson, would like to plug you in on the various career paths of the STEM sciences, and for you to hear from the ladies from various fields in the sciences, just so you can be inspired that the careers are out there, that people with two eyes, two ears, a mouth, and a nose, and look just as beautiful as you are, can be anything they want to be, including and not limited to owners of coding schools. They are also, some of these wonderful ladies are involved in the agricultural sector, as well as nuclear scientists. So irrespective of who you are, where you come from, whether it's a village, a town, a peri-urban area, a kasi, it doesn't really matter whether you're black, white, Indian, colored. It doesn't matter at all. The language that you speak does not matter at all. As long as you're interested in these fields, you know about them, and you'll be able to pursue a career in them, then you can be able to change the country and take us way forward. We all know that there are some who says that women are this, women are that. We aim to change that narrative by showing you that women can be absolutely anything that they want to be. And as you can see, we are joined by various speakers who will be introduced later on. I hope that you will stay tuned, plug in, call a friend, text a friend to also join us live in this participation as we broadcast straight from the Office of the Executive Deputy Chairperson and across the world. Some of the high-level women who are doing amazing things in the science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, what a mouthful, field across South Africa. Thank you so much. Mapula, looking forward to your host, to being in your wonderful hands as a host, and looking forward to hearing from all the wonderful ladies that have joined us today and those who are yet to join us as they come in. We look forward to that. And all the young ladies, all the young men who are tuned in today, don't forget, you can be anything you want to be. This program is particularly to highlight women in STEM fields, but it also aims to encourage the young boy in the village, in the township, who wants to become something and does not know what directions to take. They can also learn, take great lessons from what these women have to share with us today. Thank you, Sibilaisi, for this wonderful opportunity to open and welcome this program and the special edition of Stay Lit, the International Women's Day edition. And thank you. Over to you, Mapula.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mutiba. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You can be absolutely anything that you want to be. So go ahead in the comments section and mention a female scientist that inspire you. Go on and tell us how they're inspiring you. Let's connect and have a really nice session. I'm very excited to be here as a fellow scientist, being able to be part of a world that discovers the unknown continues to inspire me. We've got absolutely amazing women in the program today that are going to share absolutely exciting things. And today we're going to be starting with Dr. Manishri Jahuman Naidu, and she is the director of in the agricultural biotechnology in the Department of Science and Agriculture and Innovation, pardon me. And she will then be taking us through the importance of women participation in bio-innovation in the agricultural industry. I'm very excited to hear from her, and I'm sure that the audience are very excited to hear from you, Doctor. Over to you.
Thank you very much, everybody, and thanks for the opportunity. I think very often we carry on in our everyday lives and we go about our work, but not often we get a chance to come together and share. So thank you very much, and I'm very happy to be here. And thanks to Sebalaisia and Mapula for that introduction. I have a short presentation. If I can have IT assist me to put the presentation on, make it live. Excellent. So I am from the Department of Science and Innovation, but I think for today's brief, we were asked to also talk a little bit about our journey to where we, in terms of getting to where we are today. Not something that we do very often. Usually somebody else reads the bio and the profile. So my background, I have a PhD from UKZN, but in my undergrad, I did biochemistry and genetics. I did genetics honors, and of course a master's in biochemistry. And this was before KZN merged with the Westville campus and the rest of the University of Natal to become UKZN. In terms of, so while I was still doing my PhD, still writing up my theses, I converted to part-time, and I decided to, well, one of my friends gave me an advert and said, and I'd been a postgrad student for quite a number of years, and said, don't you want to apply for this job? And I said, why? So, and I guess it was also a difficult time because I just lost my dad. So it wasn't feasible to continue being just a postgraduate student. So I applied for this job at the Nelson Mandela School of Medicine as a technician. So I had some skills in molecular biology, and I was employed to do minimal residual disease testing for cancer patients. So already my path was pretty much carved that I was going to be a jack of all trades, not a fully fledged academic. So I moved from there to do something similar at the NHLS. And after a year or so of doing routine diagnostics tests as a technician, I decided to join government, and I joined the Department of Agriculture as a policy officer, as a research analyst policy officer. And I was there for about, I would say, almost 5 years. I got married. I had 2 beautiful boys. And my husband said to me, you have a PhD and you're sitting here in an assistant director post. I think it's time to move on. I had gotten very comfortable, I must say. So then I was very fortunate that I then got a job at the Department of Science and Innovation as a deputy director. And after about a year or so, I became the director for agricultural biotechnology. So I have about 16 years in government, policy and governance. So some of my key skills is that I am a specialist in biotechnology, but I'm also a key strategist, a policy analyst. And I run a So project and program management is also some of my key skills. I sit in various committees. So my own instrument that I developed, the ABIP instrument for investment in agricultural biotechnology. I'm the chairperson of the SteerCo. And I'm also, in terms of the new programs in government, a board member of the Grain Research Program. I work on some international programs, such as the Food, Nutrition, and Sustainable Agriculture program of the EU AU. And also in the International Bioeconomy Forum working groups for precision agriculture and plant health. So perhaps, and I'm not usually somebody who talks about myself, but I thought it's important. So for me, and in this journey, my most memorable event was perhaps last year, where we had the launch of one of our biggest flagship programs, the National Biosecurity Hub. And at that stage, the minister was not available, and so DG had to give minister speech. And so I was told the day before the launch, and we'd done all the preparation, to say, well, you up on the podium to give the presentation, which I thought was quite an honor and a privilege, and it went really well. So that's a picture from there. But I think the important thing also for me to share is what are the things that drive me. So I'm very passionate about what I do. I've never been out there or avidly planting, but I've had family. So my father grew up on a farm, and at that stage you were a tenant. So you lived on the farm, and you were a tenant. So you paid your dues by milking the cow, and during the day you went to the city. You worked, and he was in construction, and at the end of the day you went back and you did your work on the farm. So my grandmother's also, she was the biggest inspiration. She was an avid planter. She planted everything from pigeon peas to she had this to flowers and all sorts of vegetables. So she was very much an inspiration in that sense. But the other things that inspire me is I'm very persistent. I always say to my kids, hard work never killed anybody. So I believe the more you do, and if you're chasing a particular goal, and you're passionate about it, the sky's the limit. I also believe in good governance. So I'm very pedantic that things need to be done properly. So yes, my kids, I'm always on about them, about making, striving to do something. If you're doing something, do it well. But I'm also very somebody with a positive attitude. You wouldn't say that, because growing up, I was a very timid child. My father said I hardly ever spoke growing up, but I actually was. I think by the time I'd actually come into my own, I was actually quite confident, and between myself and one of my sons, we can outspeak each other at the dinner table. I'm also very flexible. I believe that there isn't only one way to do something, and you've got to be open to new ideas, to creative ways of doing things. So that's me in a nutshell. But I think the important thing, and I thought this moment wouldn't be complete if I didn't talk about the department I work for, and the opportunities it provides in terms of its mandate and the way it goes about its business to support not only scientists in general, but women scientists. So I'll share a little bit about what we do, a little bit about my work in the department, and a little bit about some of the opportunities then for young graduates. So I hope it won't be too long. So the Department of Science and Innovation seeks to boost socioeconomic development in South Africa through research and innovation. And this is particularly in our new strategy. When the National Development Plan came into play, it really was about how can we as government be a bit more outcomes focused in terms of investing in the things that make a difference in the quality of life of people. And so the department provides leadership, it creates an enabling environment, it organizes the stakeholders, ensures that there's resources to do science, technology, and innovation. I'm in a program called Technology Innovation, which is one of the core programs of the DSI. And bioinnovation sits within that. So within technology innovation, we have space science, we have the National Intellectual Property Management Office. We also have hydrogen and energy, and they're looking at this new hydrogen society roadmap. So the department holistically is looking at how groundbreaking science can enhance the well-being of all South Africans. So some of the key strategies, and I won't go into this because I don't think it's relevant here, but over time, and since a new white paper in science, since the white paper in science, technology, and innovation of 1996, the country's really grown in terms of putting in a number of strategies and programs that have started to define how our science system can actually make that difference. So I work with within the bioeconomy space, which actually saw a transition from the National Biotechnology Strategy of 2001 to the bioeconomy strategy, which is really more holistic, more about investing in the technologies that contribute to social and economic impact, rather than saying, I can sequence this genome, I can develop a test, it can do A, B, C, D. The issue is, what difference can it make to the person on the ground, to a farmer who needs a technology, and how can he access it? So these are some of the things that drive us. This slide is just sort of puts in context how we link the bioeconomy strategy links to the NDP, the economic recovery plan, and of course our new decadal plan, which I mentioned. And one of the things is about how we can look at modernizing productive sectors of the economy. So yes, traditionally, agriculture is a job creator, but how can new technologies, precision agriculture, drones, sensor technology in terms of enhancing how we can measure the quality of our fruit, etc., and ensure that there's high quality fruit that's available for export. Looking at how these new technologies can modernize the sector, but also assist those farmers to become productive. And I'll go in a little bit to why this is important. So I mentioned I'm in bioinnovation in program 2. So I work within agricultural biotechnology, but there's also IKS and there's health innovation. And collectively, we are looking at how we can invest in technologies, services that actually make a difference to people on the ground. So who does the bioeconomy strategy serve? It serves government. It serves society in new therapeutics, new healthy crops, new products, jobs, rural development. It serves industry in terms of increasing competitiveness. Of course, it supports new businesses, and within that, there's also has to be ways and means of ensuring that we enhance the skills of entrepreneurs, business skills. It supports South Africa in terms of food security, the balance of trade, because if we import too much goods, we actually, sorry about that. If we import, it affects our technology balance of payments. So we're looking at how the country can also grow, increase revenues. But underneath all that, there has to be a value chain of how the farmers that contribute to that can also be enhanced. They can have the necessary skills. They can have access to the technologies to be able to do that. Now, if we look at the bioeconomy or the biotech landscape, you've got to work with other people. And I think this is the key thing and I think for me as well, it becomes not only about whether I know the science, whether I can do a test in a laboratory. It's about how I can connect with people, how I can bring together the relevant players so that while a technology is being developed at the university or the science councils, I can link it later on in the value to say, who can help us to put this in the market? Who are the entrepreneurs who can be trained with a particular technology? So this is just a slide just sort of depicts what are the challenges we're facing in agriculture. South Africa has 2.9 million rural or agricultural households. Most of these are in KZN, the Eastern Cape, and Limpopo, who have limited access to basic services. But they are only a small proportion of commercial farmers who produce our food in South Africa. So really, the task for myself and the people I work with in industry and across all the various sectors is, how can we ensure that we support the smallholder farmers to become more commercial, to grow from small scale to pre-commercial to commercial, and what are the necessary skills? But also, what should they be working on? And the next slide is really about the theory of change of how innovation could drive growth in the sector. Given its challenges that we have climate change, the west of our country is getting more and more dry, and the east is getting wetter. What are the opportunities to grow crops in the east? So we're putting together a number of programs: crop improvement, animal improvement, looking at the pests and diseases, looking at new biotechnology to grow improved varieties with higher yields, with drought tolerance. We look at agro-processing of the products, of the raw produce, and look at different value chains. So if marula is an opportunity for us, are we producing enough so that we can put a factory downstream in 5 years' time? So these become some of the key things. Are we investing enough to say what is the opportunity before we put our money into things? But some of the key outputs, we look at supporting new and emerging farmers to become commercial, looking at nutrition security, now looking at programs. So while a farmer grows maize, can he grow other nutritious crops, indigenous crops, amadumbe, Enfino? Can he grow Bambara groundnut? So these become, which are high in protein sources. So these become some of the key things. Now, looking at bringing the dimension of digital agriculture, can science support the development of digital databases that have scientifically validated information, the go-to place? But how can that information be harnessed so that even a small-scale farmer can access it? These become critical things in how we merge modern technologies, but make them relevant and make them accessible. And ultimately, we want to grow agriculture. We want to grow the country. We want to ensure we have good decision support tools. We have sustainability, and we have inclusion and competitiveness. So these become some of the critical things. I've got quite a number of slides. I don't think I'm going to go through everyone. This is the instrument that we run, which is based on those principles. I think I'll move on. And the ABA program focuses on innovation in agriculture. It's a value chain approach, crop or animal improvement. So this is where most of our biotech or core biotech or advanced biotech is: molecular breeding, genome engineering, animal improvement. Genetics can actually tell you within a herd of cows which are the superior breeds. So it allows the farmer to decide which breeds to keep and which to cull, so that he can have a sustainable herd in the long term. Agro-processing I mentioned, but we also look at capacity building, innovation for farmer development, food and nutrition, food safety. A lot of our food, there's a huge gap in terms of food, but also in informal markets, access to food safety technologies. How safe is the food that's reaching our markets? I won't go into any. So these are many of the partners. We work with various co-funding bodies, with other government departments, universities, science councils. We work with farmer development organizations and a lot of private and public sector, because these are our stakeholders. Just one of the flagships that we've invested in is the wheat breeding platform, where government is investing in pre-breeding or using biotech in terms of looking at the genetics of our open pollinated varieties of wheat, and really doing all of the screening and the process to say which are superior material that breeding companies can use in a cross to ensure that we can enable the release of cultivars that have higher yields, and they have drought tolerance. Now, this is important because we import 51% of our wheat. And if we do that, that means the technology balance of payments is upset. It's costing us too much, and that farmers are struggling to be profitable. So this program really enhances that process. I won't go into the detail of it, but I think it gives you the sense of the value of it. And we've had 30 new cultivars released by the breeding programs in the last say since 2015. The National Biosecurity Hub that I mentioned. So really, outbreaks of pests and diseases really reduce losses of our crops. They reduce food security because there's less food available. They reduce the quality of food. They disrupt trade. So we need systems at a national level that enhance and assist us to train the relative, and this is a scarce skill area in South Africa, having the necessary people who have not only the theoretical knowledge at university, but the practical knowledge to apply it. And so we do a lot of capacity building, but we link them up to the industry to see how they can be supported with the necessary practical skills to support the sector with pest and disease management, with pest risk analysis. And ultimately, we want to have systems that are really compliant with international standards and that we can trade. So this is in a nutshell. So this Biosecurity Hub is also harnessing all of the digital information. We have a digital information database. We're looking at how in the future we are also going to be able to release an app that can assist a farmer with pest and disease management. So that's already started. It's in progress. Some examples of how we're empowering women. I've mentioned the issue of bioinnovation in terms of increased food and nutrition security and ensuring that we support women not only with access that whilst they are supported with the program to grow commercial crops such as maize, which is not as nutritious. You may know that we have a high level of malnourishment and obesity. So we have 27% obesity. We have high levels of malnourishment in kids under 6 years of age. So we need to empower women in communities to grow nutritious food alongside when they plant their maize and wheat. So this is one of the programs that we are doing with the soybean industry. It's really assisting women in communities to process the soya into soy milk, soy cow, soy snacks, and they do this on farm using small scale processes. And this actually helps them with entrepreneurial skills, with support for marketing, with the necessary recipes, and also with helping them. So there's a new program. We're also helping them with accreditation, with tasting, so they can introduce different flavors. It can be more attractive to the market, etc. And this is very important. These are some of the other slides in terms of pictures in the Eastern Cape. I don't think we have to go into more detail. The next slide. Oh, we have a new project in KZN, and this is really looking at amadumbe, bambara, groundnut, and leafy vegetables. And these are non-GM or traditional crops. They're being produced using organic farming, but there are some superior varieties that are drought tolerant and nutrient dense that have been developed by UKZN, and they are assisting to transfer this to communities in KwaZulu-Natal. So there are 5 districts that have been selected, but this is a beautiful, in government, we also have a number of buzzwords saying we now want to support the district model and how we can support districts. So it's 5 districts, and we look at the farmers have organized themselves into the KwaZulu-Natal Smallholder Association. They've developed their district models, and KZN is transferring the technology to them. So watch that space. We intend to target 500 smallholder and subsistence farmers, and I think we've already reached that target in the last year. And the next step is really to look at cold storage, look at other, and we are investing in a program together with the UK government to look at how we can, through a pilot with UK and India, enhance what they do and support them to in terms of the next stage of becoming more commercial, of getting support for storage, etc. So the next slide is about we have a number of programs, and I won't go into this detail. Other programs with the grain industry as well, where we're looking at, for example, nixtamalization of maize. And this is a nice story on nixtamalization of maize. And one of my deputies, Ms. Bula Matibula, together with Jane McPherson, who was the head of the Grain SA Farmer Development Program. So Bula had attended a training with the Mexicans when they visited South Africa to demonstrate how can we nixtamalize our maize. I mean, soak it in lime and soften it. But I think Beulah also recognized that this is an old technology that her grandma used in terms of soaking the maize with ash and then grinding it and making very nutritious baked goods. So together with Jane, so Jane McPherson went into her kitchen and she developed some of these recipes. So Beulah's been following through and monitoring it. And we've taken this there's already been 1,091 training courses and quite a number of provinces which have had access to this technology. And the beauty of the technology is not only is if you, and I'm going to show you a picture of the baked goods, not only do you reduce the mycotoxins in the food, it's much more nutritious. You also increase the composition of vitamins such as niacin, etc., in the food. And this is a small business that can actually. In 2021, the Women in Agriculture and Rural Development Ward structure in Kumbu, they were sponsored by the local government with baking equipment. And now they supply baked goods to a local spa. There's also been an independent lady, Rose, and who's a beneficiary from our program. And she established Rose's Bakery in the Eastern Cape. So these are some of the delicious breads, scones that has been baked with the nixtamalized maize. They even make yogurt with this maize. It's those steamed mealy breads, the scones. They also make remember.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry about that. We just got hit by load shedding. I don't know why it took so long to connect, but thank you so much, Dr. Naidu. I'm not sure if you have concluded your presentation, but it has been very insightful, and we are very, very much honored to be in such a platform, to be fed with such insightful information, especially from my side, because I am in the agricultural sector and, based in Limpopo province. And I do agree that a lot of emerging farmers do need the assistance that you're talking about. And being a scientist, having been going to university, going through the systems of doing scientific research, it is indeed very important that we do find our niche as scientists in the agricultural industry and find how exactly we could apply our science to help the agricultural industry by producing products and services that the community can benefit from. So I'm very sure that the audience that are with us today are very motivated. They will then be sending questions through in terms of how exactly they can connect with you, Doctor, and benefit from all the programs and initiatives that you and your office are doing. If you're only joining us today, we are celebrating the International Day of Women and Girls in Science that was on the 11th of February, but we're celebrating it with the NYDA office today. So do write in your comments in the section, the chat section. Ask your questions. Do also remember to just write a name of a female scientist that inspire you, and do tell us how exactly they're inspiring you. And we are going to be moving to another yet exciting presenter that is going to be presenting us and taking us through the journey of being a nuclear scientist. She's going to go through the highlights, the challenges, and the lessons. And that is none other than Miss Amanda Mbele, who is the science communicator at Africa for Nuclear. Miss Mbele, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mapula, and greetings to everyone. Sibeliasi, thank you for organizing this, and I'm honored to be here today. So I'll project my slides now. Oh, jeez. I'll share a screen then. Is it projecting on your side? Can you see anything? Hello?
Not yet, not yet.
IT, please come through. It takes a few minutes to load. Is anything projecting?
Not yet.
Okay, IT says the slides will find us on the way. It takes time for them to load.
Right. Maybe while we're still waiting for your slides to show, just give us a little bit of introduction. Tell us about yourself. I've been reading about you, and you are quite a remarkable, inspiring woman. It's just very exciting to find that South Africa holds such greatness. So maybe just go through the introduction, and hopefully the slides will then pick up as soon as you're done with that.
All right. Okay. My name is Amanda Mbele, and I work as a nuclear scientist. So I have two, I would say I have two designations. I work as a science communicator and also as a nuclear waste management and decommissioning project personnel, maybe put it like that. And I was honored today to be invited to give my highlights of my career, challenges, and lesson learned. You know, this presentation is supposed to be. I was not up yet because I talk better when there's pictures on the screen. However, I am from Umlazi, and I studied my undergrad degree in the University of KwaZulu-Natal, where I did environmental and engineering geology. After that, I graduated in 2014, and then I started as a volunteer at NEXA, which is just outside Pretoria. I volunteered as a science communicator there through SASTA. What I was doing there basically as a science communicator, I was promoting STEM, in fact. So we'll host kids from various schools, including ministers from other countries, including students from universities. So we'll just be explaining them the nuclear and what it does. So we'll be engaging them on nuclear energy as well as nuclear applications. From Doctor's presentation, I like the fact that she mentioned something about the plants being resistant to drought. So that's one tool that we use to make sure that plants are resistant to drought. It's nuclear applications methods that help get those plants to be resistant to drought. And so after NEXA, in fact, I was very much intrigued and interested in the nuclear field at large. So I wanted to actually combine my undergrad degree, which was geology, and combine it with the nuclear now and have something more, more dual than just geology. And as I was teaching myself nuclear concepts now, I managed to actually find a meeting point with my undergrad degree. And as a result, I started applying for postgraduate degrees in nuclear related concepts. And then I landed a scholarship to study nuclear power engineering in a master's level in South Korea. So I spent the 2 years, and I did not just only do masters only. So I was engaged in a lot of things. If you were to read, you'll find that I did sports. I even started a females. I started a females football team there, and I also had a black belt in taekwondo. And then I moved in 2018. I went to work at the United Nations Agency, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency. And there I worked from 2018 till 2019. It was a year. I was working as a spent fuel management project assistant there. And I worked with brilliant women as well there, and of course, brilliant men. But as you had mentioned, Sebuya, that the United Nations emphasizes on having women in getting involved in science. So I was also celebrated there as one of the women from Africa to actually be in science and, what promotes science in my regard. So the United Nations celebrated me as well as the IEA, the agency within the United Nations. I then had to come back to NEXA, and I was involved in the nuclear waste management and decommissioning projects there. And I would also volunteer as a science communicator because that was the start of everything for me. So I still find myself working with a lot of kids from schools around Pretoria, around Gauteng, in fact, where we present different topics on nuclear, and we take them through our NEXA Visitor Center, which is a state-of-the-art center. And I invite everyone to come through and just to learn more about nuclear. And then as part of my career advancement, so I participate in a lot of schools. One of the schools that I recently participated in was the Nuclear Management School, which was hosted in Canada by the Canada Group as well as the UN agency. And surprisingly, when I was attending there, I was teamed with only men. So I was the only female. And those are the things that you get used to when you are in the industry, in the science industry. In most cases, you'll be the only or just the two of you as women in a group full of men. So as we try to promote science and wanting to make sure that women or girls, young girls, take part in science, we want to break down that concept that there's few of us. We want to have more women participating in STEM related careers. And then last year in November, I had an opportunity to attend the COP27 in Egypt. I was part of the delivery team there, and I engaged in a lot of panel discussions, and I was exhibiting as well. So I worked as a panel discussion moderator, and the topic that I was moderating, which is very much aligned with what we are doing today, it was changing the game for climate, female leaders in the nuclear space. I engaged with brilliant women in the nuclear space from all over the world. It was someone from USA, someone from Mexico, someone from Paris, and someone from South Africa. And it was a very diverse geographically panel, but also it was mentally stimulating. And these women are really, really game changers in the nuclear industry and in the climate and in science in general. And also I had a privilege also of being a panel speaker within the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 7 in the context of SA. So I had to highlight what this goal means for South Africa, especially because we have load shedding. So people were not aware that South Africa is actually having load shedding, yet they have so much resources, including uranium, which can be used as an energy source. I'm in Quebec right now in Cape Town. They power their power plants using uranium. So we have the experience to actually power ourselves or provide power for South Africans using nuclear power, which is very sustainable and very stable, in fact. And so, yes, and besides the biggest aim at COP27 was to engage people at that level, at ministerial level, at the policy makers, decision makers, to tell them more about nuclear and how it can assist in the climate action programs of the United Nations. And coming to my challenges, I think I'm very quick. Coming to my challenges, the challenges I'd say in the industry is you just have to be extra versatile, and don't just be a scientist or an engineer. Also have a strategic thinking mentality so that you know how to maneuver, because it will be very useful for you to have managerial skills whilst you are also a scientist. So, and then also the one challenge that is big in the nuclear industry, it's a highly regulated sector. As a result, your nuclear skills, they're not easily converted or commercialized because it's a very highly regulated industry. I mean, a person cannot own a nuclear reactor, just a person. It has to be a state-owned facility. And then, however, even though there's challenges, I can say that to young girls, especially, is that girls should not see themselves as just girls first. They should see themselves as human beings, so that they know that they are at the same level with everyone, and get rid of that imposter syndrome. And then they can realize that they have the same opportunities and they can achieve as much as they want, like every other gender in the world. And the lessons that I've learned throughout my career is that, especially now that I'm at this age and I've been in the space since 2014, is that it is important that we are generous with information, and so that we can allow skills and knowledge transfer. And then also be open-minded. South Africa, we're privileged I'm privileged that I grew in South Africa because it's a already culturally diverse country. So when you go outside the world, it's not a hard thing for you to be accommodative of other people and other cultures. And also you just have to be ready to evolve and adapt. It's an ever transforming sector, especially the nuclear industry. So you have to keep yourself abreast, keep on learning, evolve, and adapt, and constantly develop yourself, because it's forever improving all the time. And that's about me, and thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Ms. Mbeda. I am just inspired. I saw a comment popping up here, and somebody was saying being educated is very nice. I'm assuming they just attributing to you being afforded the opportunity to travel the world. And, for me, science is just a fascinating thing. And as I've mentioned earlier, being a part of a world that is able to discover new things is absolutely amazing. And I'm sure the audience also got very excited when they had that there are other resources that we can use to develop and produce electricity. So I think maybe we should be contacting you and just finding out how exactly we can take advantage of all these resources that we have. But otherwise, thank you so much, Ms. Mbele. And to the audience, do keep writing your favorite female scientists. Tell us how they're inspiring you. and drop in the questions. We are going to have a discussion, question and answer session, not too long. But for now, let us also just welcome Miss Jessie Ndaba, who will then be taking us through the journey of becoming a space engineer. She'll be taking us through also the highlights, the challenges, and lessons that she has learned. She is the co-founder of Astrofika Satellite Tech Company. Miss Ndaba, over to you.
Thanks, Mapula. Am I audible? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sibu, for inviting me as well and for organizing this. It's really a great initiative. I'm recovering from flu, but I said there's no way I would not want to be a part of this. Thank you so much. So my name is Jessie Ndaba. I actually joined the space sector in 2006, and this is me telling out my age now. So I joined in 2006 for the program that was called Sumandila Set. I wanted to present something for you guys with the pictures, but unfortunately, my old laptop, it's so old that it lives on life support. So we are load shedding, so I can't access my videos and my pictures, but I really wanted to share those with you. But you can go online and just Google Sumbandila Sat, the South African satellite that was launched in 2009. There are videos that we have posted there, even on YouTube, and pictures, so you can get to see what it is that I'm talking about. So the reason why I would have wanted to share those with you, it's because that's actually where my journey began. When I joined this program, it was supported by the Department of Science and Technology and the Department of Communications. Then that's what they were called, together with the Stellenbosch University and a company called Sun Space and Information Systems. At the time, Sun Space and Information Systems was the only space engineering company in the entire continent. But yeah, the industry has evolved. There's quite a number of companies now who are players in the space engineering sector. Although we always laugh and say we're all cousins, but because we're all from the same company, we're all from Stellenbosch University, Sun Space Information Systems, and we grew, as professionals. So that was in 2006, 2009. We launched in 2010. I was sponsored to join the International Astronautical Congress, which was held in Prague. And I'm saying this because I think Ms. Mbele mentioned that as a scientist or as an engineer, you have to be prepared to do a number of things, and not just say, I'm a qualified engineer or scientist, I'm not going to do certain things. So during that year, I was part of the Space Generation Advisory Council, and we were putting together just a booklet that was going to assist candidates that were going to be attending the IAC, just in putting together the maps, how to go about, moving from one place to another. I mean, that was back then. So yeah, so we had to do all of those things manually and prepare booklets. Little did I know that my doing that was going to actually prompt SJC to support me in attending the conference. So I went to Prague, I attended, then I got awarded a Young Professionals in Space Award. That was in 2010. 2011, which was actually good because suddenly the international society got to know, that there is, a somebody in South Africa is Jessie. So I was then invited to represent my country at the International Space University. So when I got there in 2011, unfortunately, a guy from Nigeria could not attend So I was the only one from Africa attending at the time, because all the space-faring countries would choose one of their own to attend, so that we deliberate and we learn and see how far we are in terms of technology and what we need to do. There are a number of courses that we do, not just space systems engineering as an engineer, but we also touched on space law, space medicine. It's quite an intense course for space professionals to attend. So when I was there, actually, I think it was a game changer for me, or an eye opener, because for the first time in my life, I learned that there are countries in Africa that are so poor that when they're given seeds to plant, they cannot afford to wait for those crops to grow. They take those seeds and they cook them. So it was really saddening for me, and coming from Soweto, there's only so much that I'm exposed to. So seeing that really dampened my spirit, and I thought to myself, now I know why I'm a space engineer. Now I know why I'm here. Because for us as women, it's not just about designing these satellites and having them launched, but it's about how do we as humankind benefit from these satellites. And just reading about other states in the continent, because we had to prepare a white paper at the end of the course for the United Nations. So being the only person from Africa at the time, by default, I had to cover Africa, which was then how I got to be exposed to that. Then I came back home and I said, I'm not going to change as much as there are challenges in the sector, because there's a lot of challenges in our sector. I cannot lie about that. One, when you're talking about space, a lot of people misunderstand what it is that you're talking about. They're thinking about Mars and the moon, and they're thinking, as a developing nation, we have so many challenges with the unemployment rate being so high, houses that need to be built. They do not understand that the reason why we are in space, it's as developing nations. So sorry about that. I think I got lost for a while. So yeah, I was just saying, we are misunderstood. Why space? Why you guys are doing this? They think, spaces for the elite, spaces for the Americans. There's just that myth that space is very expensive. So why must we even indulge as a country in such activities? Not knowing that we need these solutions so that we can make informed decisions. For instance, if we're talking about agriculture, I'm going to touch on agriculture because my colleagues, we're talking about agriculture. We use space-based solutions as well to monitor our crops. Currently, I know there's multispectral data that we as a country are licensing. As Astrophica, we are working on building our very own constellation on hyperspectral, because we believe that as an African continent, our farming challenges are different from that of the Europeans or the Americans. So we need a solution that will really cater for the Africans. And apart from that, it will give us with more information than just your crops are having a constraint. It actually tells you what is causing those constraints. And we can do all of that using space-based data. We can use space solutions for security, for mining, even the houses that people are talking about when they're saying, why should government support space when there are houses that have to be built? I mean, we need to know where to even that we get from our space-based solutions. In 2020, before I even go there, I talk so much. Maybe I should have had a presentation so that I don't forget certain things that I wanted to say. So while I was at ISU, my She's a South Korean astronaut. She's the first South Korean to fly to space, and yeah, I believe she's the only South Korean to have flown to space, actually. So she was my flatmate, and we were just talking, and she said to me, Jessie, do you know that I was actually a backup plan for South Korea to fly to space? Which just shows us again that, as women, we are always given the back seat. So she was the backup plan, and there was a guy that was supposed to fly to space, but the Russians said, no, if there's going to be a South Korean in our spacecraft, it will have to be Soyin. And South Korea said, no, but she's a backup. But the Russians said, no, we want her because we've actually bonded. So I'm coming into other things that we need to learn as engineers and scientists, because a lot of times people believe that engineers and scientists, they work in silos, they don't interact well with people. But I've actually learned that it is very important to also interact with people and socialize, as difficult as it is, because, well, for me, I'm a very shy person, so it is very difficult. But I've learned throughout my journey that it's also just as important to interact with people, because for Soyin to have been chosen, it is because they had bonded with her. After their afternoon sessions, they would go and have dinners, which is something that most of us tend to not do. I'm also part of the our outreach for DSI, like SASTA. So, when you're traveling, you know that your workload is extra because during the day, you've got to participate with SASTA, but in the afternoon, you've got to do your office work because your team cannot be compromised just because you're away. So I would tend to spend time, alone pushing my office work. Then I learned that, Jessie, it's not good. You have 24 hours a day. If it means you must socialize with people and then come back before you sleep and do your work, rather do that. So it's also very important to interact with people. Networking is very important, and it has actually paid off later in my years of my career, because in 2017, Astrofika was born. I co-founded this company with Khalid Manju. And honestly speaking, if we were just focusing on just our technical stuff, it would have been difficult for us to get by or to survive in business. But again, you do not neglect what you are there for. We are known as AIT people, therefore we need to master that. So now I'm talking acronyms. AIT is Assembly, Integration, and Testing. So as a space engineer, you find those that specialize in power, because once our satellite is there, the components that are in that satellite have to be powered. So there are people that would design the power systems. There are people that would design the ADCS, which is your attitude determination and controlling systems. Those are the actuators and sensors that we use after the satellite has been launched, because it tumbles. You want it to be nadir pointing so that you can communicate with it. If it's an Earth observation satellite, you've got to be able to take pictures with it. Those are the ADS people. For us as AIT people, we take all the subsystems that build up the satellite, and we join them together and we test them. So as an AIT person, you're the last person to touch the satellite. So if you're saying we're not ready to launch, it is you that has to say, no, I'm not getting what I'm expecting to get from the satellite, therefore we're not launching. After you've integrated the satellite to the rocket again, you've got to test it, because now you're further away from your testing facilities. So the tests that we run are your environmental tests, because you've got to ensure that once your satellite is up there, everything that goes into a satellite can withstand the harsh environment in space, radiation. Your vibration tests as well. You need to know that during the takeoff, when the rocket is taking off, nothing is going to break during the vibration. So there are a number of environmental tests that you have to run, because once the satellite has been launched, it's in space, you can't go up there and fix it. So that's what we as AIT and V people do. So when we formed Astrophica, we wanted to focus on just consulting, assisting clients in building their own satellites. Little did we know that we were going to be faced with an opportunity whereby we had to think of owning our own constellation so that we can close the gap that we can see that actually exists in the market. Because as engineers and scientists, you don't do what you do because you enjoy doing it. Of course, we enjoy doing what we're doing, but we have to look at the challenges and see what can we do to address those. And our hyperspectral constellation is one of those tools that we are working on launching to cater for the needs. In 2020, we ran an internship program with 29 interns from South Africa and 8 interns from America. A lot of people thought we're crazy because it's such a big group, but we said to people, we've realized that space has a lot of challenges, and not because we're not good, because we are really good as South Africans. That's how South African space engineers survive, because we are good, we're globally competent. We most of our work is coming from outside. So we are globally competent. BE doesn't apply when you go outside. It's about whether you can deliver or not. So we are good, but we lack in terms of communication because it's run mostly by just engineers and scientists, people who tend to not know how to communicate with people well, because you need to speak the lingo that people speak so that they can understand exactly what you are doing to support them, for them to support you. Anyway, I'm all over again. So yeah, in 2020, that's what we were doing. And yes, the COVID was bad, but it also was a blessing to us in disguise, because we have another big client that couldn't come down to South Africa for the test. Therefore, they remembered that they had worked with us, and then they called us and asked if we can represent them and witness the test. So yeah, that also was a good thing for us. We've had a number of awards. I've been skipping. Yeah, we've been named top 10 of the African startups in 2021. 2022, we got the presidential award for the exporters because of the work that we do outside the country. And I wanted to say, as much as there are challenges in life, but there are opportunities as well. You just need to be ready to see them. I when we were called and asked to come up to the DTIC conference, I was not feeling well, and I was like, there's no way we're going to get this. I mean, I've seen a lot of work that has been done even outside space, and I didn't think we could we stood a chance. Little did I know that we will get an award. We were nominated for 2 categories, but then we got the 1 category for women. And I, just being presented by the president with that award, it just gave me 2 minutes, just 2 minutes to sum up, who we are and what we do. I was actually impressed, just on Thursday during the sauna, when he mentioned Astrophica Technologies and my name, and I'm like, he didn't even know my name. I didn't even tell him my name. So it's important that whenever you get an opportunity, make use of it. Make use of it. I've always said to people, be careful on how you treat people as well, because your attitude could determine your attitude. Education is a key to open that door, but whether you stay within the corridors or in the boardroom, it's your attitude. So that is something that we're not that we're not taught at school. You learn as you grow along. Especially for people like us who are shy, it is easy to be misunderstood, and people think, she thinks highly of herself, but in fact, it's not. So you've got to learn to interact with people, talk to people, treat people with kindness. Whether it's the people in the door that is opening that door for you, it is very important, and it's just humanity, really. And I think women do that very well. The only thing that I think, as women, we still need to look at is supporting each other. Men have big egos. There's no lie about that. But what I've noticed is that they support each other. And as women, that's something that we need to learn. As women, we need to take with us whoever that we can take with, and whether it's a girl or a boy, like you said, Sibo, when we started, because those girls are going to work with men in the workplace. And if we do not mentor these young men as well, we're still going to be having the cycle of men not knowing how to work with us, of them thinking we still have to be, I don't know, submissive or whatever. In the workplace, we do not have to change who we are. We're kind, we're nurturing, bring all of that in the table as a woman. We have more to offer than men. What they can do, we can also do, and maybe even better, because we have so much to offer. Because, like I said, they have big egos. For space engineers, it's all about who's going to launch what first. But for us as women, it's about how do people benefit from this, so we don't just design sensors for the sake of designing them and having them launched, but how do we really save the person on the ground. So yeah, I think the lessons I've learned is that really treat everyone with kindness, socialize with people. Networking is very important in our careers. So that we can know also how to communicate what we do, so that people understand what we are doing. And yes, the challenges, like I said, in the sector alone, our challenge is that space is misunderstood. Another challenge, as women, we all know that they don't take you seriously until you have actually demonstrated that they need you here. That you are a team player. That without you, this cannot move. So it's sad that we have to work 5 times harder to prove ourselves, but it is what it is, and we still do it with a smile, because we're not are here to get what we aim at achieving or getting because we're women, but because we do make the difference. So yeah, I hope I did not take up a lot of time, but thank you so much. Thanks to my colleagues that have presented. It's an honor meeting you, and I hope after this, Sibu, I can still interact with all of them. I'm inspired. I'm touched by the work that you guys are doing. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much, Miss Ndaba, for such an insightful presentation. I didn't think you took too long because I was just imbibing every single thing that you were saying, and I'm incredibly inspired by it. And I think what I'm taking from your presentation really is that we have so much to offer, and as women, can we please just try to ensure that we lift each other up, and we are not stingy with the information, as Ms. Mbele has mentioned, that we become very generous and work together, network, get to know each other. Otherwise, we are still here at the Stay Lit program with the Executive Deputy Chairperson of the NYDA, and we are celebrating the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. And as you can see, women are doing incredible things in South Africa, and it's a huge honor to have been seated today in this session and listen to all of you. I'm going to be opening the floor now for discussions, and our audience can go on and type their questions in the the comment section, and our presenters will then be there and ready to answer each and every one. So there is a question here from Mabala Mushiani, and she is asking, I would like to be assisted with information. My sister Makushoani Mabala did the STEM subject at high school, and following which she studied a BSc in life science degree. Now the challenge is securing a job, and she would like the team to guide her in this regard. I'm not sure who would like to take and give an answer to Ms. Mabala for us.
I can respond.
Thank you.
Thanks. Perhaps I can start, and some of the other colleagues can add. So it's always difficult with a BSc Life Sciences on its own to get a job. I struggled myself, and I think I tried getting a job. I did an honors. Then I went to do my honors because, I did a little bit of everything. I think I even went to do a bit of teaching before deciding to go back to postgraduate. But the key thing is, and this is what we are doing in through the NRF and through a number of organizations, the best way to get some exposure and to be to get a job in a more specialized area is to do an internship. And so you can look at the NRF website to look at internship advertisements, etc., and apply for those. Of course, depending on the particular area, there are also technician posts that we sometimes advertise for graduates to get the practical experience I was talking about. The one thing that, sorry and apologies, my presentation was cut short, but the last slide was actually on what's happening on the stats in terms of science women in engineering and mathematics fields. And when I asked in our department, they're also going to now establish a whole unit for women in science at the department and employ a new director there. But over and above that, and the issue is that the DSI is mainstreaming young women in science. So there are guidelines on ensuring that, so if she wants to study further, there's bursaries and scholarships, because like I said, at just a degree, sometimes you're not specialized enough. There's a target of 55% female and 80% Black students. And they have achieved the 55% female, but for the PhD level, they only achieved this in 2020. So I would encourage her to apply for an internship or to study further, because there's much more opportunities for females. And it's always difficult. The thing is, there are much more women who decide post-school to study, right? But most of them go in business management, education, and humanities. But the number of female graduates has increased, but the opportunities are not increasing. And this is something that really also needs to be looked at, because we are not making enough space for the absorption. And so through technicians, through internships, this is the way many governments, institutions, organizations, departments are trying to support post-graduation training, but also practical skills, internships, to ensure that the candidate is able to find a job easier. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm confident that the lady that did ask a question is some sort answered, and if she's not, please do drop your contact in the chat box. Let us communicate with you, and we'll see how exactly we can help you. But I agree with what Doctor was saying, that it's having just a degree is not enough, and perhaps consider internships, going for postgrad in terms of honors. or masters, and also just, you know, look around in terms of how exactly can you then use your scientific knowledge to turn it into products and services that your community can benefit from. And I'm very confident that the NYDA is there to assist you if you are interested in starting a science company. I can't see if there's any more questions. Please assist me. Oh, there we go. We've got a question from Unkululeko Mkize, and Mkize is saying, my sister Ayanda, my question is currently, what are you doing? And can you invite to share this information with others? You look so young, but did a brilliant job. Well done, sister. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Okay. Thank you, Lego, for your question. And well, currently I'm working as a science communicator, as well as I manage nuclear waste, and I'm involved in decommissioning projects of the old nuclear facilities that South Africa has, that used to do enrichment processes for nuclear related technologies, let me put it like that. So I work at NEXA, that's where I'm based, but I'm also involved in this campaign, the Africa for Nuclear campaign, that aims at demystifying misinterpretations and misconcepts about nuclear, because people only think that nuclear is about bombs, but we actually save lives with nuclear. We have nuclear medicine, we have a wide variety of applications of nuclear. So yes, that's why I can be invited, because I'm a science communicator, and it's my passion to talk and communicate science to people, and simplify it as much as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. I think I'm gonna take
okay,
you up on that.
Yes, you can NYDA, I think they can assist with the contacts if it had to get to that point. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Mbele. I think I'm going to take you up on that in terms of inviting you to come and do a Science Com event. Thank you very much. Very inspired. Can you assist? Okay, we've got another question, and that is from Madikole Liseilani. And she says, it is quite interesting to hear that uranium is already being used as a power source. I really hope that our energy department hops onto that wagon and effectively provides power for the entire country. This is very insightful. Thank you very much, Madikola, for that comment. And then there's a question from Margaret Molefeko Keto, and she says, wow, this is so inspiring. I would love to see more learners in STEM getting first-hand experience at NESCA and the Department of Science and Innovation to shape their interests at a young age. We need to break barriers in science, and most importantly, as Ms. Mbele said, share opportunities and knowledge. This has been a very exciting session. We are truly inspired by each and every one of our presenters today. And we've got Dan Matapula that says, an intern working on the Sabandila satellite mission in 2006 as an engineer, co-founder of Astrophica Space Technologies, role model for careers in space science and technology in 2008 and 2014 editions, and more recently appointed as SANSA board member since September 2022. What an inspiring story with humble beginnings in Soweto. Thank you very much, Ma. We are really inspired by you and everything that you have done and achieved. It really is very inspiring for a young scientist to just sit in the space and listen to all the things that you have achieved. And he continues to say, all the presenters involved. No, sorry, it's a question. It says, are all the presenters involved in communicating science? So I think Ms. Ndaba can just quickly answer that for us.
Thank you so much. I know Mr. Dan Matapula very well. He works for the National Space Agency. And thanks for reminding me that the minister had invited me to serve on the board. It's something that I omitted. Thank you so much, and thanks for asking about my other colleagues as well who are online. Dan is a communicator of space science and technology, similar to what Ms. Mbele is doing, but on the space side. And I would really love for us to see other sectors as well. All our colleagues, embarking on educating the young ones, like Ms. Mbele was saying, because space really is not just for space community. It's for the nation. What you do is what you guys in other sectors use as well. So yes, thank you so much, Mr. Matapula, for that. Thank you, thanks, and thanks. With my other colleagues, we will most definitely keep in touch with you then and see how we can work with you and assist in community science, because it's not just space only, but science. Yes. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Matapula. Mm. We could not
Thank
have done
you.
it without.
Thank you very much for the insightful informations that have been shared today. And again, Mukwena goes back to saying being educated is amazing. Shame, and I agree with you. Being educated is amazing, and we've got amazing educated women and girls in South Africa that are doing amazing, trailblazing things. It's absolutely amazing to have been a part of such a beautiful session. Do chat down and write in your name. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's connect on social medias. I'm going to wrap up because we are left with just a few minutes. But and Mrs. Sebulaishi Piha, who is the specialist for special projects, will then be doing the vote of thanks for us.
Thank you so much, Mapula. I mean, you drove us so well until right at the end.
Thank you.
Ladies, I don't think I'm the perfect person to do this vote of thanks because I'm in awe of all of you guys. And just thank you so much for responding to when we wrote to you guys and requested you guys to be in here on this show today. So we are starstruck. Thank you guys. You guys are rock stars. If you were musicians, you'd be rock stars. Thank you so much. And I mean, we can imagine that international days are there for us to, just to discuss information and just to give the public information about this. I mean, most of them don't even know about these careers and how do you get to being a nuclear scientist, for example. So we thank you so much, guys, for just coming here with all the information that you gave us. So we've learned thoroughly. I mean, from uranium, we've learned from space scientists and agriculture. And I think Mapula can connect with Dr. Naidu after this
Yes.
because you guys are both just in agriculture. So this is a great platform for us to connect with each other. So we thank you guys so much. And I want to thank the DC, she's not here, the executive deputy chairperson of the NYDA board, for coming up with this platform. Like Ms. Mbele said, we need to be generous with information. So this is why we had this platform. So the topics are different from month to month, as my colleague Moronga had mentioned earlier, that this is the second one. So we have different topics every month. So we thank you guys for coming on. When we thank the executive deputy chairperson, Ms. Karabo Mohale, in absentia, for giving us this opportunity, and also for young people to come on and ask questions and connect with you guys, and for you guys for sharing the information generously. So we'd like to thank you so much. And lastly, but not least, thank you to our facilitator. She's not just a brilliant facilitator, by the way. I mean, she's a master's degree. She has a master's degree actually in genetical science. I'm correct, right? So
Genetics.
yeah, it's genetics. Yes. So she is also just in the field as well. So which goes very well with our topic today. So thank you guys so much for joining. And thank you to the young people for engaging with you guys and showing so much love to all our beautiful ladies today. Thank you so much, Miss Amanda Mbele, for joining us. I mean, hey, I was worried a little bit there earlier on, but thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much to Jessie Ndaba for joining us. I mean, we met last year at when she received an award for the Women of First from the Charlotte Manya Mateke Award. So thank you so much for joining us. I mean, we can all agree that what a powerhouse. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Dr. Naidu for joining us. I know that we had requested someone else and you were so generous to join us today. So we appreciate you all, ladies, so, so much. And thank you so much from the NYDA. We say thank you, guys. And we hope in future you guys will be generous as well with your information and your time. And I mean, we can agree the caliber of women we have today is of top tier. and they availed themselves to join us today and share with us. So thank you so much to the facilitator. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Sibilaisi, for just this beautiful session, and a huge appreciation to NYDA for having this. So do follow NYDA on all their social media platforms. They do this Stay Lit sessions regularly. Do follow them and don't miss out. We are learning a lot. We are being inspired. And most importantly, as Ms. Mbele has mentioned, we need to evolve and adjust to this ever-changing world. From me, Mapula Lisailan, as she has mentioned, I am the CEO of an agri-science company that is Metaprevium Holdings. And what we do there is that we meet where it's a company that ensures that scientific knowledge meets its application, particularly in the agricultural sector. So I've learned so much from this session. I am going to definitely connect with all of you ladies and see how we can then continue to ensure that science is solving everyday today problems, because that is the reason why we are doing research. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this beautiful event as we celebrate International Women and Girls in Science. South African women and girls are doing absolutely amazing things, as I've mentioned. Don't forget to follow NYDA and follow all the speakers. I'm sure they are going to be very generous to share more knowledge, because today's time was a bit limited. But from me, from NYDA, we would like to wish you a beautiful, beautiful day. Do continue celebrating women and supporting women, and let us trailblaze and win together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.